On the coast of Chile lies dozens of world-class waves. It's a beautiful place with variety, consistency, and more left-hand points than you could ever hope to surf in one lifetime. But there is one break that stands above them all, Chile's most famous surf break, and one that you almost certainly will have heard of. The very spot that put Chilean surfing on the map. A fun, rippable left-hand point on most days, but also a break that can handle anything the South Pacific throws at it. And on the biggest of biggest swells, the place transforms into a freight training big wave point break. However, Chile's pride and joy of wave riding was almost ruined altogether by development and privatization. And this sent the place into a years-long battle to keep the break untouched and open to the public. And in today's video, we explore that story. Located around 3 hours south of Santiago, on the edge of the town of Pichilemu, you reach the headland at Punta de Lobos. This is where the deep greens of the Chilean countryside fall away into rocky cliffs and black sand shores, and where a rugged outcrop sticks out into the ocean, punctuated by two enormous rock formations, known as the Lobos or the Wolves. The iconic rock structure defines the break at Punta de Lobos, and it features in the foreground of many amazing photos and videos from the biggest swells out there. For centuries, the indigenous Mapuche people fished and gathered seaweed along these shores long before surfers ever set foot there. The headland here remained rugged, windswept and untouched well into the 20th century. Surfing in Chile likely began back in the 1960s, introduced by a mix of adventurous foreigners and Chilean travelers returning from places like California and Hawaii. In the 1970s and 80s, Pichilemu became a hub for Chilean surfers, with La Puntilla and Infinio being the most popular waves at the time. On solid days, which come often during winter, Punta de Lobos, with its raw power and open ocean feel, was an intimidating spot for many surfers. And it wasn't until the late 1980s and early 1990s that a new generation of big wave riders began tackling the break at true size. One of the key figures in Punta de Lobos' rise to fame was Ramon Navarro, a Pichilemu local who grew up in a humble family of fishermen. His dedication to riding massive swells, both in Chile and around the globe, helped put Punta de Lobos on the map and establish himself as a big wave standout. As Navarro gained international recognition, surf brands like Patagonia and events like the Big Wave World Tour brought global attention to Punta de Lobos. And by the mid-2000s, it was considered one of the world's best big wave spots, attracting elite surfers like Greg Long, Grant Baker and Cole Christensen. With increased popularity came an influx of visitors, real estate interest and commercial pressure. If you've ever been to Punta de Lobos and surfed it, you'll know firsthand just how beautiful an area it is. You know, you've got that wicked sort of cliff line that runs like parallel with the wave breaks down it. It's a beautiful place. You can sit up there all day, watch the waves come in and out of surfs. When it's really big, it's wicked to watch in such proximity to massive waves. But in the early 2010s, Punta de Lobos faced an existential threat. Wealthy investors and developers eyed off the headland as prime oceanfront real estate, envisioning luxury homes, resorts and commercial properties perched on the very cliffs that shaped Punta de Lobos. And one particularly concerning deal involved a wealthy businessman who acquired a crucial section of the land directly overlooking the point at Punta de Lobos. The fear was that access to the break would be cut off, essentially privatizing one of Chile's most iconic breaks, cutting off generations of Chilean surfers and future wave riders from their connection to the ocean. Beyond the access issue, the wave itself was also at stake. The cliffs at Punta de Lobos play a crucial role in shaping how the wave breaks, acting as a natural barrier against erosion while helping maintain the deep water channels that funnel swell into the shore. Large-scale construction on the cliffs could have led to increased coastal erosion, destabilizing the fragile rock formations and altering the bathymetry of the ocean floor. So these plans would have fatal consequences for the wave at Punta de Lobos. Such changes could have permanently disrupted the wave formation, weakening one of the world's most consistent big wave point breaks. This threat wasn't just about surfing, it was about protecting a unique coastal environment and preserving an essential part of Chilean culture. For local fishermen, the cliffs and waters around Punta de Lobos have provided sustenance for generations, and the introduction of private developments could have led to restrictions on fishing zones or pollution from construction runoff. For the community, Punta de Lobos is a sacred place and acts as a symbol of Chile's deep connection to the Pacific Ocean. So between 2013 and 2017, it was a tense time for locals and anyone associated with Punta de Lobos. But locals and the wider surfing community saw the risk. And in 2013, iconic big wave local Ramon Navarro, alongside Save the Waves Coalition, Patagonia, and dozens of local activists, launched an initiative, which was a campaign dedicated to securing and preserving the land around the point. The campaign had 3 goals. 1. Prevent privatization by purchasing threatened land. 2. Create a long-term conservation plan to protect the ecosystem and access for future generations. And 3. Educate the community on sustainable coastal management. Lobos por Siempre gained international attention, with donations coming in from surfers, environmentalists, and even non-surfers who wanted to preserve the break. Patagonia played a crucial role, featuring the fight in its documentary, The Fisherman's Son, which came out in 2015 and tells the story of Ramon Navarro's humble upbringings and his mission to save Punta de Lobos. The film amplified the cause, bringing in support from icons like Slater and organisations like the Surfrider Foundation. Slowly, through private donations and strategic negotiations, portions of the headland were acquired and placed under protection. And in November 2017, after years of fundraising and negotiations, Punta de Lobos was officially declared a World Surfing Reserve. The land, once under threat of development, was transferred to the newly established Fundación Punta de Lobos, ensuring that it would remain protected forever. This was a historic victory, not just for Chilean surfers, but for global conservation efforts. It marked one of the few times a grassroots movement successfully preserved a high-profile surf spot from commercial destruction. We've all seen it all around the world. It's happening now. It's happened to so many places where, you know, these protests and campaigns are just so futile compared to the power of a government that wants to get things done. And we see so many world-class waves just being destroyed. But for once, Punta de Lobos was a case of victory. So since its official protection, Punta de Lobos has served as a model for sustainable coastal conservation. The Fundación Punta de Lobos continues to oversee the land, maintaining access while implementing ecological restoration projects such as reforesting native vegetation to prevent erosion, creating eco-friendly infrastructure, educating local communities on the importance of protecting their coastline. Punta de Lobos remains a world-class surf destination, and on the right swells it's still a break that attracts big wave surfers from all around the world. They've had big wave events there in the past, and notable swells continue to produce some of the biggest left-hand walls you could ever hope to surf. I went there a few years ago and had some really fun waves, just on like the normal head high to double overhead days, a really powerful, consistent wave. Then one day a new swell filled in, it got to like 10 foot, and I stood on the headland with my feet firmly planted on the safety of the ground and just watched, because it was quite a spectacle, you know, watching people take off sort of behind those big rock formations. It's really sick to watch, and just really appreciated the power of the ocean. The success of Punta de Lobos has inspired similar conservation efforts worldwide, and it demonstrated that surf communities can successfully combat destructive development through grassroots activism, global solidarity, and environmental stewardship. From its humble beginnings as a quiet fishing village to its growth and its recognition as a world-class big wave venue, Punta de Lobos has undergone an incredible transformation, and what could have been lost to luxury development and commercialization is now a permanently protected surf reserve, a refreshing success story, and a wave that will continue to provide surfing riches for future generations of Chilean surfers. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it really interesting. It's quite a positive one to make, which I often feel like it's all doom and gloom when we talk about these kind of projects. For now, it's goodbye from me, and I'll see you in the next episode.